श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ऋकारस्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः विषेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ प्रज्ञानां सुप्रदानैः स्थिरजरनिकरव्यापिभिर्व्याप्य लोकान् भुक्त्वा भोगान् स्तविष्टान् पुनरपि धिषणोद्भासितान् कामजन्यान् पीत्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् स्वपिति मधुरभुन् मायया भोजयन्नः। मायासङ्ख्यात्तुरीयं परममृतमजं ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि। ज्ञानेनाकाशकल्पेन धर्मान्यो गगनोपमान् ज्ञेया भिन्नेन सम्बुद्धः तं वन्दे द्विपदाम्बरम्। अस्पर्शयोगो वै नाम सर्वसत्त्वसुकोहितः अविवादो विरुद्धश्च देशितस्तं नमाम्यहम्। ज्ञानेन आकाशकल्पेन धर्मान् यः गगनोपमान् ज्ञेया भिन्नेन सम्बुद्धः तं वन्दे द्विपदाम्बरम्। आकाशकल्पेन ज्ञानेन ज्ञेया भिन्नेन गगनोपमान् धर्मान् सम्बुद्धः यः तं द्विपदाम्बरम् अहं वन्दे। This Karika is a prayer salutation to the Advaita Darshana Sampradaya Karta. That is what Bhashyakara clearly said. Tatra Advaita Darshana Sampradaya Kartuhu Advaita Swarupena Eva Namaskararthaha Ayam Adya Shlokaha. It is a namaskara to that Guru, Sampradaya Krit. The Sampradaya Krit is only Sriman Narayana. Rest everybody is a Sampradaya Vit only. Even Bhashyakara is a Sampradaya Vit. He is a Acharya within the Sampradaya. Same goes to Gaudapada Karika, Govinda Bhagavatpada Acharya and Asmadacharya Paryantam. Everybody is a spoke. Everyone is a spoke in this huge wheel of Sampradaya, and the Krit Sampradaya Karta is nobody other than Sriman Narayana. Therefore, Bhashyakara has taken Dvipadambaram as Sampradaya Karta, who is Sriman Narayana. Now we also said this whole thing can be construed to imply any jnani who is in this sampradaya. How, if you see this, akasha kalpena jnanena ज्ञेया भिन्नेन ज्ञानेन ज्ञेया भिन्नेन ज्ञानेन what sambuddhaha gaganopaman dharman in the form of this jnana, and through this jnana, and what is this jnanam? Akasha kalpam jnanam. So it is similar to akasha. What is akasha? Avakasha pradatre akasham. That which accommodates everything is the space. Space is basically the recognition of the dimensionality is the space. It is not a thing. So everything is in the space. And is there any end to the space? No. It is unlimited. It just goes on and on. So this jnanam is also like the akasha, because the vritti that gains this Brahman is akhandakara vritti. There is no akara, because Brahman is not bound. It doesn't have an anatomy, because that which lights up every feature is Brahman, every anatomy. Therefore, it is akasha sadrisham. That jnanam, just like space, doesn't start and end. It just pervades. It is only recognized. Similarly, this jnanam, which is in the form of an akandakara vritti, is like that akasha, akasha kalpena, because it is almost the same as akasha, but slight difference is there. Akasha at least has one guna, which is sabda guna, whereas Brahman is nirgunam. Akasha is dependent on Brahman. So it is anuprakashati, anubhati, tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. That anubhanam is there for Akasha, because for Akasha to be evident, it needs to be evident to you. Whereas the Brahman is Swaprakasham. Therefore, this jnanam, this jneyam is Swaprakasham in the case of Brahman, whereas the Jnaya Padartha in the case of Akasha Jnanam, it is not Swaprakasham Brahma, it is not Swaprakasham Akasham also, it is Anuprakashitam. Therefore, Akasha Kalpena is used. That Jnanena, what is Sambuddhaha, what is very well recognized, cognized, is the Jnaya Bhinna, Jnaya Bhinnena Jnanena Gaganopaman Dharman Sambuddhaha. And this Jnanam is Jnaya Bhinnam, because this is Swaprakasha Jnanam. There is no Vritti Jnana. In the case of Vritti Jnanam, the Jnana Vritti, there is a Vritti Vyapti and a Phala Vyapti. Therefore, the Phalam is separate from Vritti in the sense that there is a separate Vyapti of Phalam there as an object. Whereas in the case of Brahman, there is no objectification, it is the subject itself. Therefore, the Vritti alone is there which removes Ajnanam. The Takandakara Vritti just removes the Ajnanam, and the Atma Swayam Prakashate. Therefore, this vritti, Akashakalpa Jnanam is Jnaya Bhinnam. The vritti also only just removes the Jnanam, it doesn't, there is no Palavyapti here. Jnaya Bhinnena Akashakalpena Jnanena. What is Sambuddha? Gaganopaman Dharman Sambuddha. What is Gaganopaman Dharman? Gaganam also is space only. Now, the Gaganopaman, Bhashyakara says, Gaganam Upama Yesham Te Gaganopamaha Tan Atmanaha Dharma. So, in the space, you see many dharmas. What dharma? There is a tree which has a form, which has a touch, which also smells. You can taste the tree. Neem tree is sour. All that is there in the space only. The tree is there, and all the dharmas of the tree are found within space. Similarly, where is a mountain? Mountain is also in the space. The mountain has a color brownish. It has a smell. When it rains, you smell. Okay. You can probably also taste. There is some taste depending on which part of the rock you are tasting. And then what? Something falls on the mountain, there is sound, and you can also touch the rough surface. So, all the five sensory experiences are available in the mountain. So, it is there are these dharmas of mountain. Where are they? Inside the space. So, there are many dharmas. There is a sun shining bright during the hot summer, but that is also within the space. So there are many dharmas in the space. There is a hot sun, there is heat, there is coldness, there is a beautiful sunrise, there are mountains, there are trees, green, brown, all forms are there, colors are there. There are so many dharmas which are there in Gaganam. But do they belong to the Gagana? Even though it is the space which accommodates everything, and when you see all these dharmas, you see in the space. In fact, the space also has clouds, it has dust. So there is Malinatvam in Gaganam, there is Shuddhatvam in Gaganam. There are so many dharmas that is obtained in the Gagana. Just like Atmanaha Dharman. In the Atma also, there are many dharmas. And those dharmas of Atma, which is in the form of this body or what is, the whole world also is seen as dharma of Atma, which is Brahman. Samashti Dharman, Vyashti Dharman. We say there are Samashti Dharma for me. I am a continuum. My body is part of Panchabhuta. I am part of the space. I am part of air. I am part of the Samashti heat. I am part of Samashti water. I am part of Samashti earth. Everything only has become this body which is Vyashti. But then there is this continuum. So I identify with that Samashti also. Those are also Atma Dharma. And then this body Dharma also is seen as Atma Dharma. Just like in Gaganam, so many dharmas are seen. But Nyaya Binnena Sambuddhaha Dharmane. They are seen as not separate from Nyaya, which is Brahman. The Jnanam also is Nyaya Binnam. The Dharmas are also Nyaya Binnam. Everything is the Jnayam, which is Brahman. And that is Sambuddhaha. by the Jnani. The Jnani sees the whole thing as not separate from the Jnaya Vastu, which is Brahman. That kind of a Jnani, Vipadambaram Aham Mande. So you can call that Vipada as a Jnani. The sloka perfectly fits. There is no problem. But because it is a generic prayer and to a particular altar, so the highest Varam is said Dvipadam Varam, the one who is the most exalted. Now, who can that be? Not Sampradaya with a Jnani, yes, but the Sampradaya Krit Ishvara obviously gains a much higher stature here. Therefore, Bhashyakara takes this as Sriman Narayana, Narayanakhyaha. आकाशेन ईषद् असमाप्तम् आकाशकल्पम् आकाशतुल्यं तेन आकाशकल्पेन ज्ञानेन किं धर्मान् आत्मनः दोस् धर्मास् किं विशिष्टान् धर्मान् गगनोपमान् आत्मनः धर्मान् ज्ञानस्य एव पुनः विशेषणं ज्ञेयैः धर्मैः आत्मभिः अभिन्नम् Agni Ushnavati. Jnaya is what? Atma here. Brahman. That is a Jnayam. That which needs to be known, recognized. Agni Ushtavate Savitru Prakashavatcha Yat Jnanam. So it is like the heat in the fire or the light in the case of sun, which is the Swabhava. Tena Jnaya Binnena Jnanena आकाशकल्पेन ज्ञेयात्मस्वरूप अव्यतिरिक्तेन गगनोपमान् धर्मान् यः सम्बुद्धः सम्बुद्धवान् इति सम्बुद्धवान् नित्यमेव ईश्वरः यः नारायणाख्यः नित्यसम्बुद्धः. So here, why this nityam? Nityam implies what? It implies time. When you say nityam, that means always. That's what nitya means. So it implies a time. Just like space is there, time is also there. Therefore, you have to talk only in the context of Srishta Jagat, because it is Saguna Ishvara, Sagunam Brahma, Jagat Karanam Brahma, which is Ishvara, Sambuddhavan Nityameva, and he is recognizing all this when all this dharmas, which is not his own dharma, it's all Mithya dharma. Why? Just like Gaganopaman dharman, here also Atmanaha dharmans are superimposed. All these dharmas are not Atma Swabhava. That is why, like space, because they are not, all those attributes are not of the space, but they are seen in the space. Similarly, these dharmas are not Atma dharmas, but they are seen within the Atma. And that all those dharmas are in the form of knowledge of Ishvara. Yasya jnanamayam tapaha. The Ishvara upadhi, the Brahma upadhi, the Kalpita Jagat upadhi is in the form of knowledge only. There is no tangible object. Whatever is there is only jnana. Ishvara jnanam. And that is a nitya jnanam. It is not a, it is a yugapat jnanam. It is not a sequential knowledge. Like one after the other, Ishvara knows in a reactive mode. No. In fact, Ishvara knowing is what is the Jagat. That's it. Is jnana like our dream. Like our dream, we know that is our dream. That's all. That is a dream, and then we are coming to know of the dream, we can't say. Because the dream itself is your mind only. Similarly, here also, whole Jagat is Ishvara's jnanam. Therefore, Nityameva Sambuddhavan. Ishvara yaha Narayanakyah. He has been given a Namadheya of Narayana. Sambandhe Abhivadaye. I salute, prostrate, do namaskara. In fact, entire Bhagavad Gita he uses Ishvara as Narayanakyah Bhashyakara. Mostly in the case of Upanishad Bhashyas, we don't find the Narayanakya Ishvara mentioned quite often. I haven't seen it many places. Of course, Bhagavad Gita is full of places where he uses the term because it is Ishvara talking there. But here mostly Sagunam Brahma is touched upon. Predominantly it is Nirguna Swarupa which is dealt with. Okay. Even if Sagunam is spoken about not as Ishvara, right? It is generally spoken about Vishwadaijasa Prajna and all that. Therefore, it's very rare, but here we find that Narayanakyaha Ishvaraha because Vande Dvipadambaram, it is a prayer. So, if the moment there is a prayer, there is a Dvaita Buddhi. When there is Dvaita Buddhi, then that is Jiveshwara has to be brought in. So he brings Ishvara and Narayanakyaha Tammande Abhivadaye. Dvipadam Varam Dripadopalakshitan Lakshitanam Purana Purushanam Varam Pradhanam Purushottamam Iti Abhiprayaha Uttamam Purusham Purishayanat Purusha Puraitatvat also Purusha, the one who pervades and who is an indweller. Therefore, he is called Purusha, which is Brahman only. Uttamam. Uttamam is different. So, this Purushottama is also used by Madhva Dvaitis as Sarvottama, Hari Sarvottama. But that is a very different connotation there. For them, the Hari is a limited Ishvara only. Okay. And Sarvottama there implies a gradation. Gradation in the form of his position with reference to things which are not him. Okay. But here Uttamam, if you look at it, is you have to slightly see there is a big difference because when we talk about Param Brahma, Parama Purusha, Uttama Purusha, okay, Uttama Purusha means see there is in this Sanskrit grammar. You have Pratama Purusha, Madhyama Purusha, and Uttama Purusha. Pratama Purusha is third person in English because only when there is a subject matter to be spoken about, you have to talk. Otherwise, you can't just keep blabbering. Therefore, what is the first important thing in any sentence is the subject matter, which is a third person. So, Pratama Purusha. Then Madhyama Purusha is the one who is in between. Uttama Purusha is where the I goes and resolves. Therefore, this Uttama is Atma. So that means it is greater because it is the innermost. Inner again is like the most subtle, or it is the underlying reality of everything. That's what it means, the Uttama Purusha and all. It is not the same as Hari Sarvottama, which is a positional status. It's a very different idea. Whereas we talk about Purushottama means it is Param Brahma, which is the underlying reality of all experiences. And that pervades everything, therefore the word Purusha. Upadeshtri Namaskara Mukhena Jnana Jnaya Gnadrubheda Rahitam Paramartha Tattva Darshanam Iha Prakarane Pratipipadayishitam Pratipaksha Pratisheta Dwarena Pratignatam Bhavati. What is the pratigna here? Upadeshtu Namaskara Mukhena in the form of Namaskara of Upadishta, who is the Guru. And Guru Parampara starts with Sriman Narayana, therefore Vipadambaram is taken all the way to Narayana, who is the Guru. Okay, who is the Parama Parameshti Paratpara Guru? Okay, the immediate Guru is also seen as Narayana only. So we need to understand that. Like the king is seen as Mahavishnu, then your son-in-law is seen as Mahavishnu, Vishnave Tubhyam, Kanyam Kanaka Sampanna. All that we, when the Kanika Danam is done, is because I am wanting Swarga, therefore I am giving this as Dana. That those days there is no ego for the child because it is still in a very early infant or very young age before the Ahankara has come in. So that time Dana was that used to be done, but nowadays anyway Kanika Dana doesn't make sense because the person has grown fully, and every person with a fully grown up, Ahankara, the self identity is a complete person. Okay, you can't give Dana of somebody like that. But in those days, the Kanika Danam was done. Okay, so with what Jigrikshaya, Swarga Jigrikshaya, so seeking the lokas, and the Vara, the son-in-law, the would-be groom, is seen as Mahavishnu, and then Pada Puja is done and all that. This is another problem nowadays, no? How can elder person do Pada Puja of a younger person? Or how can Rajinikanth, who is elder to Yogi Adityanath, can do Namaskara to Yogi Adityanath? All these kind of controversies were erupted because people don't understand. In our culture, in our Vedic, not even culture, the Vedic way vision of looking at things, it is what you are invoking matters. You are prostrating to a stone. Okay. So how can stone be greater than you? Like the other religion is taught, no? Oh, they worship idols instead of worshipping the God who is sitting somewhere. The problem is not understanding that you are not actually prostrating or doing namaskara to a stone. You are actually invoking the Bhagavan in the stone. Avahanam. Okay. Therefore, your invocation matters. Where you invoke, you can have a choice, but you can invoke in a lump of clay, you can invoke in a lump of turmeric, you can invoke in your daughter. Kanya Puja is done during Navaratri and all that. Where our own grandchildren in that, or some kid, Kanika is in those Kanikas, Parashakti is invoked, Sapta Kanika and all that. And people do namaskara. Why is it for this kid? No, it is for who is being invoked. Similarly, in a brahmachari, we do a Vatu puja. So you invoke Subramanya and then do a namaskara. So what is being invoked? So when Yogi Adityanath is being prostrated to by Rajinikanth or anybody, it is the Vedanta Sampradaya, the Jnanam within these sadhus and the Brahman itself is what is being prostrated to. The holder of that body is only a nimitta. Therefore, a jnani also becomes an altar of worship because the person doesn't have not supposed to have ego. Okay? Wherever there is no ego, you can invoke Parabrahman there. A stone does not have ego, so you can invoke Parabrahma. A kid which is less than 1 year, it doesn't have ego, right? It is also seen as Bhagavan. A jnani doesn't have ego, supposed to. Jnani doesn't. A sannyasi is supposed to be a jnani, you can say. Then with that thing you prostrate as and take it as an take the person as an altar to Parabrahma. So the namaskara is always done to what you invoke in it. Otherwise, why do you do a prostration to a turmeric lump? Vigneswaram dhyayami, like that. So it all is about what are you seeing there, not what is the physical thing in front of you. Upadeshtu namaskara mukhena. So the Upadeshtu, which is the Mahavishnu. So I was saying this invocation of Mahavishnu is in your Guru, and the king is seen as Mahavishnu. Like even today in the Nepal, Virendra and now that other king who is there, they are all seen as Mahavishnu only. Even in those days, this Padmanabha Swami temple, the king comes there. He is also seen as Mahavishnu. In fact, he sees himself as representative of Bhagavan. So, therefore, the Narayana as a Sampradaya Krit is implied here, but the altar can be your own immediate Guru. Upadeshtu Namaskara Mukhena, then Jnana Jnaya Jnadrubheda Rahitam. There is no difference between the Jnanam, Jnayam and Jnata. Jnanena, Akashakalpena, Jnaya Bhinnena, all that is said here. So the one who is teaching the Guru, the Brahman, which is the subject matter, and I as the seeker, all three are Brahman only. Jnadribhedarahitam Paramartha Darshanam Iha Prakarane Pratipipadaihitam Pratipaditum Icha. The intent of being revealed, okay, or discussed through what? Pratipaksha Pratisheda Dwarena, by negating all the counter viewpoints. Just remove all the doubts. Manana Nididhyasanam. That's what is the intent. Okay. Shravanam is already done in the Agama Prakarana. Now Vaidatyam, Advaitam, and this Alata Shanti are about Manana and Nididhyasana. So countering the other viewpoints. Asparsha Yogo Vainama Sarva Sattva Sukhohitaha Avivado Viruddhascha Teshitastam Namamyaham. This is also a prayer. You can clearly see that it's a prayer because it ends with what? Namamyaham. Other one was Vande Dvipadam Varam. Vande and Namaha are both same. Aham Namami. I prostrate to who? Deshitaha. That which has been revealed. The subject matter. Upadeshitaha. That is Deshitaha. De Upadesha, that Upa is not here. Deshitaha means that which has been revealed. The subject matter, I prostrate to that. What is that? Asparsha Yogo Vainama. It is called Asparsha Yoga. We already saw this term earlier. The yoga, which is jnanam, where nothing is actually being touched by that jnana, asparsha, because there is no palavyapti. When there is palavyapti, suppose there is this cloth is there, I am gaining a jnanam of this cloth, I can say this cloth has been touched by my jnanam. But here there is nothing, there is no guna, nirgunam, niravayavam. Therefore, there is no sparsha, nothing. There is no sambandha with anything because there is nothing else. Therefore, it's called asparsha yoga. Tam deshitaha namamyaham. That yoga, which is called asparsha yoga, that teaching I prostrate to. Earlier, first verse, was a salutation to the Guru. Now the Vidya itself is being prostrated to. Sarva Sattva Sukho Hitaha. It is Sukhaha. It's a happy thing. So you don't, by just listening to about your Atma, and it keeps on saying you are Purnaha, you are Nitya Shuddha Buddhaha, you are Niravayavaha, you are Dukkha Rahitaha, you are Nirbhayaha, you are Nischalaha, you are Shantaha. So you hear all this, and as you keep on gaining this recognition, knowledge, the more and more you enjoy. There is no greater sukha than this, because the whole journey is sukha. You just sit and keep listening and be dwell in yourself, it's a sukha. You don't need anything else outside for this. And it's a sattva sukha. Okay. It is a sattvika sukha. It is not a sukha born of rajas. The shanti. Sattva means shanti, right? And it is also hitaha. It is not a sukha which is going to lead you to a disaster. Not like dope or alcohol or any other worldly thing. There may be sukha now, but it is ahitam. After some time, your brain is tired, you have lost money, you probably have lost some relationships, so many things, right? Health. So it is ahitam. There are many sukhas which is ahita, but here it is hitaha. It is hita as well as sattva sukha. What is this? Yasparsha yoga. The more you let go, the more happy you will find yourself. Problem is always about clinging on to. The more and more you are clinging to anything, there is always anxiety. Even your own body, the more you cling, it is anxiety only. What will happen to this? Will I be healthy? Am I having the right blood pressure and diabetic under control? All that. I'm not saying don't worry about diabetes. That's not the idea. But that is because we don't let go. You can do whatever it needs to be done, but then that anxiety is the problem. The more you let go, the more free the sukha. And this Vedanta makes you free. It just takes all the clutches from you and just make you stand on yourself, your own toes. As Swayam Prakashaha, Swanandam. Okay, that Swananda Anubhava. That is the Sukha. Sarva Sattva Sukhaha Hitaha. And this Asparsha Yoga is also Avivadaha. There is no dispute with anybody. In the Advaita Prakarana, if you remember, Bhashyakara said, we don't have a dispute with anyone. Will we have dispute with our own limbs? Is what he asks. He asked there. Your own legs and hands, stomach, will they fight with each other? Or will you fight with any of your own limb? You won't. So every other darshana is a perspective. They are just looking at it from one perspective. But since they don't have the complete vision, they don't understand that it's only a perspective. They think that is a truth. This perspective versus truth, Pujya Swamiji used to give one anecdote. So he apparently went to a modern art museum, and we all know modern art. It is very difficult to understand what is there. Okay, so there was some one painting which was splashed with some colors. So he tried to look at this, that. this angle, that angle, nothing is not able to make sense of it. So they were showing that, and whoever was the painter, he asked, "What is this?" Puji Swamiji apparently asked him. So he said, "Swamiji, this is a table." Okay. Now Swamiji was more confused. Table means there should be four legs, and then it should have a table top, right? So table, we know what is a table, right? But it doesn't have any of those. So he asked, "What is this?" He said, "This is not a table, it's a perspective of a table." And what is that perspective? When you actually lie down 30 degrees on the floor and then you look at the table, if you lie by the side and then just lift it 30 degrees, and from that angle, if you look at the table, this is how it looks. Then Swamiji tried to make sense of it, he could. Okay, so the idea is, a perspective makes sense only if you have a full vision. Otherwise, the perspective actually doesn't really make sense to you. You just make up your own conclusion about what it is, and then you move on. If the painter hadn't been there, there is no way that you could have figured out that it's a table, because the full vision was there only with the painter. He has seen it that way, so it is his perspective. Similarly, in the case of this different darshanas, somebody says it's Sankhya, someone is a Vaiseshika, Nayayika, whatever. They are looking at it only from a certain perspective. Now, once you have the full vision of what it is, you can understand where they are coming from. So you can empathize. I mean, empathize is a very strong word. You can acknowledge the reason why they are looking at it in a certain way. So, avivadaha, we don't want to contest with them because we can understand. And there is no point in having a vivada also, because if they have an intention to learn, you don't need to have a vivada. They will come and sit and listen, try to understand what you are trying to teach, what the Shastra is trying to say. If their intent is not to learn, then it only is going to be the um, what is it called? Vitanta. There are three other types of vada: samvada, vivada, vitandavada, and all that. So their only intent will be to establish that they are right. Okay, they don't want to listen because they are so emotionally attached. This Kapila Kanvadayaha, Bhashikara had spoken earlier also about them, because they have Swasiddhanta. Swasiddhanta, he used a phrase. They are so attached to their own Siddhanta that there is no openness. So there is no point. Why go and have an argument and all that? Okay. So avivadaha, aviruddhascha, there is no viruddhatvam. We are not opposed to them. Okay. And again, these have been discussed in the earlier verses. Deshitaha, that kind of a knowledge which is not opposed to anything. This Vedanta, the beauty is it is not opposed to anything, not even to Nastikavada or the Abrahamic religion, because the Swaprakasha Atma lights up everything, and everything is a perspective. They are just looking at it with their whatever has been given to them, whatever knowledge that they have. And if you go one step further into karma model and all that, whatever is the prarabdha karma that they have, they are born into a particular belief, and then they just go with that, and it's all supported by the same Brahman. So and we also see that it's all a cycle. Somebody People will eventually move up after doing many births. People will come to Vedanta. There is no other way, right? Because see, if the karma model is true, right? Being ones who have shraddha in that, what other way is there for you to get liberated? Within the Sankhya, Mimamsa, Vainashika, Vaiseshika, and all that, is there any moksha possible? Obviously not possible, right? Because it can be easily disputed. Whatever moksha they are talking about, equilibrium of guna, or becoming a void and all that is not that kind of a moksha is impossible. No, if there is a moksha which is possible, it is only Advaita moksha. And if the Advaita moksha has to happen, then the person needs to have the qualification. So the qualification can come over many births. So people are there in different stages. Maybe we were also probably some Buddhas in some life. We don't know. So there is nothing for us to have viruddhatvam or vivada with them. We understand that we were also once like that. They will be like this. So it's all a process. So we recognize that and keep going, right? So avivadaha, then the question people may ask, then why are you even talking about those people and saying, calling out the fallacy? It is not to contest them. It is only to make our own minds clear. We want to understand. See, we have doubts. Will they be also correct? Is Vedanta the right one? These people are saying Advaitam, Advaitam, but I am seeing Advaitam. Maybe Nayayika is correct. So there could be those kind of doubts. So for our own clarity, we discuss this. We are not going and sitting and debating with them. There is no point. It will be a waste of time. If they want to learn, yeah, that is fine. And we are anyway open to understand their point of view, right? Specifics, it's not at all a problem. We don't run away. We are very open to talk to any of those people. If they, for them, if they want to come and clarify their position, that is fine, right? It's not that we are not saying close your ears for them, like many of the other people now they say, right? Don't even listen to Advaita because it is given by some Rakshasa and all that. Okay. Now coming back, so avivadaha aviruddhaha deshitaha tam namami adhuna advaita darshana yogasya namaskaraha tatstutaye. So this slokam is for the Advaita Darshana Yoga Namaskara, and it is stuti means what? Not like glorifying. It is just giving the respect it deserves. Okay, you have to look at it like that. Sparshanam sparshaha sambandhaha na vidyate. Sparsha here means sambandhaha yasya yogasya kenachit kadachitapi with anything and at all points in time, because it's there is nothing else for it to have a sambandha also, and it doesn't have any guna or avayava for it to have a guni guna sambandha. Saha sparsha yogaha brahma swabhavaha eva vai nama iti. Okay, it is parabrahma swabhava swarupa, and that is its name. What is the name? Asparsha yoga brahma vidam asparsha yoga ityevam prasiddha. Amongst brahmavids this yoga is familiar, it is famous as asparsha yoga. So in those days, apparently it was called as Asparsha Yoga, this Brahmajnana. Such a sarvas. Yoga means coming together, right? You are connecting to something which doesn't have any connection. That's what it is. Such a sarva sattva sukho bhavati kaschide atyanta sukha sadhana visishtaha api dukkha swarupaha yata tapaha. Okay. So he says there are certain sukha sadhanam. It is a sukha sadhanam, but the sadhanam is dukkha swarupa. Like tapas. When you do tapas, you will gain sukha, like swargadi. But then during the tapas, there is dukkha. Like Valmiki used to sit and then that ant hill developed. The person cannot eat. He is standing on one leg, okay, and doing some tapas. So it leads to sukha. But while doing the tapas, there is dukkha. Whereas ayam tu natatha, here the journey itself is joy. The end is also joy. There is no dukkha. Where is dukkha? It's not like tapas. We don't even say you have to only sit in Padmasana to listen to Vedanta. That itself we don't say. We just say make yourself comfortable. Yeah, of course, it is good to have certain niyama. One that Krishnamurti Shastrigal's wife once asked me, "You are teaching Vedanta through internet. You don't even know how people are sitting, whether they are dressed up properly. What if they are sitting in shorts, sipping a cup of coffee and listening to your Vedanta? Okay, so then how do you? So there is a certain decorum. This knowledge, deserves a certain etiquette. You can't compromise on that because we all respect it. Yeah, there is a trust. We trust that people will be sincere. That is fine. But she asked a question: how are you making sure that there is no abuse of that freedom? That somebody is not lying down in the bed and listening to Vedanta. Okay. No, I couldn't answer that. That is a big problem. No, how will you? And see, at least in a live class, you can expect that people are sitting and attentively listening. But what about people listening to recordings? Right? How do you know what kind of a niyama they are following? So we don't know. But the reason I'm even discussing it is because we should do that a little bit because those are the forms are very important. Then only the knowledge will work. There should be a certain bhava. So that minimum thing is what we expect. Okay, that is also for your own good only, and that is not going to be a dukkha. Just sitting in a sukhasana in a comfortable position is not dukkha. Where I am trying to say in the context of is there any dukkha while pursuing Vedanta? There is no dukkha. No. What is that? You can just do whatever you want that you have been doing so far in your life. Continue with your office work, continue with all things, but your attitude and approach to how you look at things change. That's all. And that also will make you only more happier. There is a sattva sukha. Unlike a tapas, we are not again talking anything against tapas. Okay, tapas, if you want some swargadi and some benefit from it, doing tapas is nothing wrong. That's not what we are saying. All he is saying is tapas also leads to good things, but while doing tapas it is dukkha, whereas in this case the sadhanam also is sukham, the sadhyam also is sukham. Therefore, kim tarhi sarva sattvanam sukhaha tata iha bhavati kaschit vishayopabhogaha sukhaha nahitaha ayantu sukhaha hitascha nityam aprajalita swabhavatvat. Okay. Another thing, like we said, there are things which are sukha but not hita, like Vishaya Upabogaha. So there are many sukhas, no? Go to a movie, okay, have popcorn and enjoy. That is sukha. But is it hita? It's not hita, it's a sukha, that's all. It is not going to give you anything other than those 2 hours of relaxation. But here it is hita. You sit and listen to Vedanta, it was good to listen. There were good jokes which were told. There were also good things which went into me. So not only I enjoyed that 1 hour, but it is also giving me clarity. It is also going to get me moksha. So it is sukha and hita also. Why nityam aprachalita swabhavatvat? It is unwavering. Okay? Because this Brahman is unwavering. Once you get into it, it is always a shanta sukha. This not only just pursuit. Here Aprachalita Swabhava is the Nyaya state, the Brahma Jnani state. It is not Samah Praptam Nachalaye. He said no. Once you have gained that composure, you are in that Nishtha. Just let it be. And so it's Sukha only. It is untainted, unhindered, no Taratamya. It is just Shanti. किंच अविवादः विरुद्धं वदनं विवादः talking opposite things that is not there paksha pratipakša परिग्रहेण यस्मिन् न विद्यते सः अविवादः कस्मात् how is it avivada because यतः अविरुद्धश्च there is no virodha with them only when there is virodha there is vivada यः ईदृशः योगः देशितः उपदिष्टः शास्त्रेण that yoga which has been unfolded by the shastra vedanta shastra tam namamyaham pranamami ityartah that jnanam itself I am prostrating to. That is why it is very beautiful here because there is a prayer, there are prayers to Ishvara, there are prayers to Guru that we always see. But here the prayer is to the knowledge itself, this teaching itself, not just the teaching parampara. The jnanam itself is being praised. Upadishtaha, deshitaha, shastrena upadishtaha yogaha. Yoga here is jnanam. Idrishaha yogaha. Tam namamyaham. I salute, I prostrate to that great knowledge, which is a sukha and it is hita. It is then that which is in the form of the happiness itself, Satyam Jnanam Anandam, Ananda Swarupa. Bhutasya jatimicchanti vadinah kechidev hi abhutasya vare dhira vivadantah parasparam. Then he is going to talk about the two ends of Dvaita. One we said is Sankhya, the other is Nyaya Vaiseshika. They both are fighting. We have seen in the Advaita Prakaranam, I think, where he spoke about that. So one set of people who are Sankyavadis say Bhutasya Jatim. What is born? This first of all they conclude this whole creation is born. Even scientists say it is born, right? Big Bang. So there is a birth. This world, this whole experience that you are having here is born out of something. Out of what is where there is a debate. They both say it is born. And Sankhya says it is born of something which already exists, called Prakriti. And due to imbalance, the equilibrium is gone, the whole creation has come about. The Samanvaya was there before Samyam and it has been disturbed. That is a Bhuti, Bhutasya Jati. The other guy is Nyaya Vaiseshika says Abhutasya. The Abhava is what has been born here. There is Purva Bhava, there is Pradvamsa Bhava, and Abhava Pratyogi is the thing. Anything is Purva Bhava Pratyogi. Okay. So that kind of a thing they are talking about Abhutasya Jatim. So both of them are saying this world is born, and one guy says it is born out of an existing thing. The other guy is saying it is born out of non-existing thing. And each of them refutes the other with sound logic. And then he is going to say, therefore, nothing is born. What we are saying that nothing is born, what Shastra is saying that nothing is actually born, Ajati, is established because they are knocking off each other anyway. Bhutasya jatimichanti vadina kechidev hi abhutasya apare dhira vivadantah parasparam vivadantah. One arguing between themselves. One guy is saying that this is born out of existing thing. The other one is saying this is born out of non-existent thing. Bhutam na jayate kinchit abhutam naiva jayate vivadanto advayahi evam ajatim khyapayanti te. So by arguing among themselves, they are only establishing the Advaya Brahma, which talks about Ajati. Our Shastra is talking about Ajati Vada. There is no birth. In fact, there is no Srishti. That is what is established by them because they are nullifying each other's contention. That's what we are going to see now. We'll see in the next session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम